everyone. Hi. Hello to our YouTube fam as well. So excited to have you today. Thank you to everyone who's joining us here on Instagram and on YouTube. Very special session today, guys. So, really excited to really have this chat. Very interesting conversation that I'm gonna have with someone that I'm so excited to speak with. So honored to have in today's session. So yeah, very special session today. All right, we have the guest of honor in, so I'm just going to invite her in and we can get started. There she is. Hi, Vinita.
Hi. Hi, how are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Doing good.
All right, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm so excited to speak with you.
Likewise, really looking forward to our conversation. And just off the bat, I'd like to say that I really admire the brand, and it is such a privilege and honor to be here.
The pleasure, the honor is all ours, and thank you. It means so much coming from you. To everyone who's beginning to join us now, I'd love to share a very quick introduction of Vinita. Of course, there are so many facets of her personality, but only a few that I could very quickly share with you. So, she's an entrepreneur, she's an investor, she's also the executive director of the Surana group of companies. And, her career has been an intersection of tradition and innovation. So, right from someone who's backed bold startups to someone who's mentored change makers to someone who works, across industries, a leader, right from solar power energy to real estate. She's done it all. And that doesn't just limit her. Of course, she's also an extremely creative person. So she's a yoga instructor. She's learned Kathak dancing. So I think so many facets of your personality that I've been reading about. It's not, of course, she represents women in boardrooms, and we love to tap into that experience as we go. But at the same time, she's someone who leads with grace, leads with purpose, and at the same time really believes in helping a lot of our smaller businesses, women in smaller businesses, grow. So amazing. And again, it's an honor to have you with us today. The RareReach audience is a lot of young women, as much as more early career to mid career women. And I think the purpose of starting Inspiring Heights, Vinita, was that we can keep on saying, oh, you can do this, you got this. But when people look at someone like yourself, who is the leader, who, I think even the purpose that you have, which is rise with purpose and lead with grace. So just that mission, if we can really break it down for younger women like me, it will be something that we will take forward in our legacy too. So it's really setting an example, and through your voice, hoping to inspire many more women. So thank you for doing this with us. And there's of course like a line of beautiful questions that we have just to understand your journey. So I'd love to get started.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot for that long introduction. I just took a breath, but very kind of you. So, Rare Reach, because I know this brand stands for more than just the product, it stands for women empowerment, and that's pretty cool.
Thank you. Lovely. So, in your introduction, Vinita, as I touched upon so many facets of your personality, so many touch points that are there, right? Ultimately, of course, it all leads up to how beautiful of a leader you are. And there's a lot of course, success that credit to yourself. So, what have been the touch points in your personal or professional life that have sort of led you to where you are as a successful leader and someone who leads with so much grace today?
I think every time I've risen above or gone to the next level in my life, it's definitely been because of failures, because of things not going right. Because I feel every time I've hit success or I've had a win or done something right, I just become very lazy. And they say, right, like success is a lousy companion and failure is a very good teacher. And I feel like failure is like that. Coach in the gym, who is screaming and shouting at you to like get up and show who you really are. So more often than not, what happens is when things are not going your way, you and it's public, right? Like you feel publicly, whether in your personal or professional life, there is an even more bigger sort of like this innate desire, and for women especially, like to prove them wrong or to prove myself. I just want to know who I am. Am I as small as my failure, or do I have like so much more ahead of me and that inner potential? So I think failures definitely were the stepping stones to my success, but Also, I think having the right company, having the right mentors, when you are in the low, like where you like there are two choices, right? You can go in any form of addiction or wrong things, or you can push yourself and become the greatest athlete or become like build this $1 million business. So I think it's also the path you choose through that failure. But um, and I think I've been very lucky enough to have that intellect and the people in my life who have guided me in the right way, even from my younger days. So I think these two components, like failing miserably and having the right people to like push you forward.
Lovely. And I love the fact that you said failures, because it's amazing when leaders talk about that. Because a lot of us feel like, okay, then if this has happened, then is this where we stop? But when we learn from you that you've also seen the ups and downs, and it's actually the downs that have taught you, it just helps us push that one step forward. So thank you for sharing that. Um, I think the other really interesting aspect that I loved about your personality was how many different facets it has. So you started from a family business to getting a global education to startups, starting up on yourself, then further, mentoring startups, being an investor, also being a creative professional at the same point of time. So all of these different facets, what is the common point? How is this the core of who Vinita is?
I think every person needs to have a foundation. For me, I found it in a path of spirituality, which is not very it's not religion based. It's more, it's based on these ancient texts it's like Bhagavad Gita. There is another text called the Yoga Sutras, which is, and the essence of all these ancient texts, I think they speak the same thing, but what resonates with you, you go ahead with that. And once, so in that, one of the lines that stuck with me is, uh, your biggest quest in life, other than building a business, being the best at your job, being an athlete, being the best in as a family member in any role that you play, is the biggest quest in life is to find out who you really are. And finding out who you really are is also like kind of shedding those layers, those doubts, those disbeliefs of the person that others put on you, that you're not that good enough, you're not pretty enough, you're not rich enough, you're not capable enough. So like shedding all that noise and going to your essence, that who you really are. And um do you know your potential, or do you know the path to your potential? And there's so much of confidence. The byproduct of being on that quest is that there's so much of confidence to say no to things that don't resonate with you, and to say yes to what fully aligns with you. Also, I just want to say I love the way you are speaking to me with your expressions. It's so motivating to see that you actually resonate with this stuff, because it is quite deep. So I think the core of who you really are is, finding a path which is, being 100,000 years old proven, and it resonates with you, whether it's in your religion, your spirituality, or even like the new age beliefs, right? Like finding something that really resonates to you and sticking by it, and then building everything around it. So once you know who you are, so I know that I'm not a basketball player, or I know I'm not a space astronaut. And once you define your path, and then excelling in that path becomes so much more easier.
No, absolutely. I think why I resonated so much is because I have very recently gotten onto this path myself. Perhaps when we become entrepreneurs, or when we start something of our own, maybe we do become a lot more self aware. When you said spiritual, but not in the way of being religious, I completely resonated with that also. So, I before this was a banker, Vinita. I was based in Singapore and I was doing something completely different. So even for me to quit that banking job in one of the biggest like corporates of the world, and just come here was a big decision. But I think to be able to make these conscious calls, and sometimes very unconscious calls also, takes courage. But I think when you're true to your core, something inside you drives you. And like you said, I think I've seen the most amount of failures in the past 1 year. I've never failed as much before this. I was like a high flying career professional, right? So even then, the kind of resilience that I've built, and what I know I can say no to versus what I can say yes to, it's only been because I think I've perhaps discovered that side of me. I don't know if it comes from spirituality, emotional intelligence, maturity, or just experiences that one has. But yeah, that's exactly why I resonated with what you said, that you do start to realize that this is who I am. I'm very confident in myself, and it's okay what I'm facing. I can do that. I just have to do it on my own accord, and I don't really have to prove anything to anyone. I just do what really feels true to me. And whether I pass in that or I fail in that, I just go ahead with it. So that's really, I think, what I very strongly resonated within what you were saying.
That's awesome.
Fantastic. And I think you also mentioned about, perhaps somebody sometimes saying you're not looking pretty, or somebody sometimes making comments at one's body. And I think, especially as women, for some reason or the other, people do feel that whether it's in the professional workspace, whether it's in our families, they can make these kind of comments. For me, for example, if I don't wear kajal one day, somebody will say, "But yeah, you're looking a little bit sick," but I'm just not wearing kajal. It's as simple as that. So, have you ever had instances where, unfortunately, somebody's just had the audacity, and I may just call that audacity because it's really not cool to comment on someone's body. Somebody's done that. How have you felt about it, and how have you navigated it? Because that RareReach is also all about just embracing your body and realizing that what somebody else says should not define how you feel about yourselves.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I think that is the question of the hour, and like I think it should be spoken more than we actually speak about these topics. There is a difference. So, like, say 10, 15 years back, what people would tell me, I would take it too hard, or I would doubt myself, or I would question my choices. Today, it's not so much because today I know who I really am, and I think it's that journey that that comes through age and experiences and intellect. But early on, if there were any comments like that, as young girls, like girls today who are in their 20s and stuff like that, I can completely empathize. It can be either your peer group or it could be a family member. Just saying things, just out of maybe their own insecurity or their own ignorance. And so it took me like 10, 15 years to realize that it's more about them than about you. And if I can tell something to any youngster, any young girl watching this, is that if somebody is not treating you well, or somebody is, passing comments on the way you look, the way you dress, the way you go about doing your things, your business, your workout, your Instagram posts, like whatever it could be, right? It's a lot to do with them than to do with you, because it's their insecurity, it's their lack of courage. Maybe they find you courageous, but in the subconscious they don't really know it's jealousy. They might think like, okay, this is such a cringe thing to do, or this is so like such a sidey thing to do, which is not true. So if I can tell any of the girls, this is like, you need to cut down the noise, and that can only come, you can only cut down the noise when you increase your own volume up. So your own queendom, your own intellect, your own choices, when you bring that up, it really doesn't matter like what somebody says. Like, I'm sure you would have heard about this example, that if somebody comes and tells you you have like very bad pink hair, it won't really resonate with you, so it's just like noise. But when somebody hits you in something which you're already insecure of course it's going to hit you. So it took me a long time to realize that the enemy is not outside, it's just a reflection point. Either I'm okay with that insecurity, or I work on that insecurity. Like, I make that my strength. And if I can't, then I need to have that kind of wisdom to accept, like, okay, I am like this, and you can go to the next door, but this door is going to be like this.
Amazing. And I think what I loved the most in what you said was you need to just focus on your own queendom. That's awesome. I love that line. Absolutely. I think very true. When you said the example about the pink hair, it immediately did resonate with me. If you believe in something even slightly that somebody else is saying, is when it will affect you. If they're saying something that you know is untrue, it will not affect you at all. You'll just be like, this is not factual. This doesn't mean anything. It's not logical. So, yeah, I guess it's a lot to do with one realizing where the other person is coming from, which unfortunately a lot of times is from a point of insecurity, like you said. And even if that happens, I think it's all about just knowing who you stand for. So, to everyone who's listening in, and girls, if you're going through this, I think the power lies in your hands, like Vinita said. So, please find that power and please don't let somebody's comments.
I think girls and boys,
True.
in my journey of working with entrepreneurs, I've realized like the young boys are as subjected to this as girls. And yeah, so definitely the advice would be to both of them.
Lovely. So I think you worked with so many small businesses through your journey, and I'm sure that I've seen Lions Den, and I was reading about the venture fund that you're running also. So many interesting startups that you've backed through Win-Win Venture Fund, or through even Lions Den, and you've really helped them transform. So now across all of those examples, is there one that's really stayed with you also? Perhaps you're very proud of it, perhaps a new chapter unfolded for you, or there's been a huge learning in any of those spaces.
I think I mean I see this in all my interviews. The best startups have been where we have co-founded the business, and which is very different from a traditional investor. So traditional investor generally takes below 15% stake or 10 to 20% stake in most companies. So they are a minority player. But contrary to that belief, the places where we have gone in as 50% partners, I think we've done fabulously well because we were able to bring our own resources to the companies. So there's a gaming company we did really well, and of course, gaming as a sector is booming. Then there is a data analytics company we are very very proud of, and we want to take it to the next level. And it's been very interesting to see that whenever we go in these kind of partnerships where we are opening all our resources is where we've hit success. One of the biggest learnings would be that don't get into a business by the face of it. Like if it's a very good friend of yours, or the presentation deck looks very good, or if it looks all pretty, and in the first 2 3 meetings everything looks like too good to be true. It's more often than not it is too good to be true. So take your time because we've burnt our fingers too. It's not like everything I've touched is gold. I've also burned my fingers in many decisions that I have taken, especially as an investor. And it's very ironic, but I feel like as an entrepreneur, I've had much more success than an investor because as an entrepreneur, you're betting on yourself. And so, yeah, so one of the newest ventures that we have is co-working spaces where I'm very actively involved along with the other co-founders. But it's definitely like those kind of uh, businesses that do well, and it doesn't matter which industry they are in. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on it.
No, absolutely. When I was reading about all the different kinds of ventures that you're a part of, whether that's Vinvinsituation, whether that's WinSpace, um, personal branding, Lions Den, I was just like, how do you have time to do all of these things and be so involved? And now that you're saying that you're also deeply involved, co-founding so many businesses, I think there is a separate class that I'd like to take from you, please, on just like time management, because for me, one venture is hard, and here you are, I think, so closely involved. But I guess it just shows like another facet of you loving to perhaps be a builder and not really doing things for the sake of like being at the surface. Because if you would like to be so deeply involved, it does take a lot of time, effort, and of course there are learnings across industries, but that also just doesn't come right. I'm sure there's a lot of groundwork that's happening at your end.
Yeah, no, it's definitely to partner someone who's an expert in that industry, but the business remains the same. There's a lot of marketing, HR, legal, accounting, which is same across any industry. So we do have that. I mean, I've been lucky enough to be in a business family. So we have 3 public listed companies, and in in many different industries. So we are in solar industry, in real estate, and copper. So my first 10 years was being in those industry. I've worked across different departments, across different industries. So I could really kind of take that education and experience and kind of juggle these industries. Also on a selfish front, I am a personality like in that path of knowing myself. So I'm a personality who gets really really bored if I'm doing one task or industry or business. So just to keep my brain like on a wake up mode or like my stimulus alive, I think I need to put my hands in so many different industries. And the secret sauce, what I've found if you're juggling too many things, is partner with the right people. And if you don't, like in case like you get into a wrong partnership, come out as quickly as possible so that you can use that energy for getting into another uh, better partnership that really resonates with you.
Sure, sure, absolutely. That also though takes courage, and I think awareness of knowing that one is in not in the right environment, or is really not like understanding the space that they are involved in so closely. So perhaps that comes with like experience, and like having been involved in so many different even working templates to know that, oh, this is what's working, this is a template that's not working.
And also your own intuition. Like I think women have it more than men, and I think you should take chances on trusting your intuition. I wouldn't say trust your fears because fears will keep you small, but you need to give your intuition a chance because it it guides you in the right way, but you have to listen to the whispers more deeply.
Lovely. Thanks for sharing that. I'll definitely keep that in mind as I make my decisions also going forward. Um, so now, of course, I think in the beginning you shared about how a lot of your leadership and your success today is also owing to the failures that you faced. Is there any particular setback, any particular failure that has taught you the most and that has sort of again shaped how you either take decisions today or the person that you are today?
Yes, I can tell you. So very early on in my investing career, I would know people from 15, 20 years, and that's when you know that when you're starting something new, I didn't know there's a process to investing. I just knew that these are the people I can bet on, and let's get into a partnership with them. And of course, the basics of the business model and the basics of the financials. I think I was sold on their optimism, and I made a lot of mistakes there. Um, Today I have a but because of those mistakes, I went back and I learned everything. I learned, okay, there is a due diligence involved, there's a business intelligence involved, there are these 10 steps that you need to do before you even put your money somewhere. And also when you put it, how do you protect it, what is the contingency strategies if things go south. So I didn't know all this in the beginning of my career, and I would have even lost a lot of I would have made a lot of losses. And whenever you make a loss, especially financially, being a woman, there are so many eyes on you. There's so much of pressure. Even if you're doing, things well, you're giving average returns, 10, 20% profit. Nobody says anything. Nobody's going to clap their hands. But when you make that one mistake, even if you lose half that money, like 5% of the money, or you've made a wrong decisions, and your own money, but you've lost it. There is so much of pressure being a woman, and at the time I didn't understand it. At the time I was really shattered and broken and questioning myself, while even others, putting their own kind of uh, thoughts on me, like, you should have done this right, you should have done this better, whatever. um, but that was the best thing that happened to me, because in 6 months after that, I learned what is due diligence. In a year after that, so I also went and joined a private equity firm, which is one of the top leading firms in India, to just understand, like, what am I doing wrong? So I did go out of my family business. I did not work for salary, but for experience. And I learned so much, because I was like, okay, these are the systems to be made. These are the you're hedging your risks like this, and stuff like that, which came through a lot of this. And then I also would see, like, I also would make connections in that industry and see what my competitors are doing, which is like in the venture capital private equity space, it's a lot of collaboration, because when you go in a big deal, a lot of funds put in money together, so they do share a lot of their best practices. So yeah, so all that came because I burnt money. So I was like, no, I need to make 10 times of this in the next 2 years. And I did it. But I don't think I would have that motivation if I didn't have that, like, fire under me.
That is so amazing, and that's all the hard work that you've put in to get to here. So thank you for sharing that story. Nothing comes easy, and clearly there's a lot that's gone into your story also. I love to hear these stories. Honestly, I think it just really inspires me. कि ठीक है, if you're going through a difficult time, just see what you can learn from it. So yeah, amazing. I just feel very inspired right now. Okay, another question. So I think you've been in so many boardrooms, so many investor panels, so many global platforms, and perhaps sometimes you may have been the only woman or in a room where there are very few women. How have you felt in those moments? How have you made sure that your voice comes out loud and clear? Because some of us do face imposter syndrome when we are in these scenarios. So we'd love to learn how you've navigated or made space for yourselves.
Absolutely. So initially, when I would go to the boardrooms, in my head, I had a lot of credibility. I have passed out from an Ivy League school. I when I was working in the solar industry, I got a lot of sales. I got a lot of addition to the top line. So in the business sense, like, I've had success. Passed out from the top three schools in the world. So when I would enter the boardroom, in my head, I think I'm very qualified to be here. And the first 2, 3 years, I think people just look through me like as if I'm just a prop. And in the moment, as a young girl, who's had decent amount of success, it really crushes you. It's like, why are people not acknowledging me or my ideas or my presence or my credibility? And it took me some time to realize is because there are very few women, and women are also a bit more on a shorter, like at a time level, they're like for a shorter time, maybe because of family issues or their personal things. So men are not taught to take women seriously, especially at very high positions. And so then I thought that, okay, what can I do? Like, what can I do to be taken seriously in every room that I walk in? And if you come to my office, you'll notice like my cabin is very loud. Like every time I was featured in a news article, I've won an award. Everything is there, like very visible for anyone to see. And anytime a woman walks in, she's like, they're very curious, right? Like, why is this so loud? I'm like, because I want more women to talk about very publicly talk about their success, which we don't. Like men with more ease. It takes a lot for a woman to talk about their success stories, and even after so much of credibility, they still kind of doubt themselves, like keep talking about these dove ads. Like it's so true. Like women don't look at the mirror, like they're not so confident, but when a man looks into the mirror, he thinks like he's 10 times more better than who he is. And it's the opposite for a woman. They think they're 10 times lesser than the beautiful self that they are. So yeah, so right from the cabin to my team to now when I speak at keynote speeches, this has been my mission. Like, I want men to take women more seriously, not after 3 years, 5 years after proving themselves, but on a neutral ground. Like, you would take a man on a neutral ground. Like, why not a woman, right? So, it was very tough in the beginning, but anybody who's going through this, I would say use it as your armor, use it as your um, ignition to the next level. Because for me, I was like, okay, what can I do in the next meeting? How can my network be stronger? How can my subject matter expertise be stronger? How can I get stuff to the table that is very unique to me and nobody else in the room, even my family members included, cannot get this to the table? What can I do to get this on the table and be extremely indispensable? So yeah, so that was that thinking actually, and Priyanka Chopra says that a lot. Like I want to be indispensable. And when I used to see these women say the same thing that I was also thinking, it's very reassuring. And once you make that your agenda, I can use that time to like complain and feel sorry about myself and say that the world is unfair. But where is it going to take me? Like nowhere. But if I put my foot down and double down on my strength and work on my weaknesses, then I have really earned that seat at the table.
Amazing. So it's all about basically finding that one unique thing about yourselves that nobody else can do. And then that multiplies and that multiplies, and then you eventually become someone who's not someone that can just be replaced. Is
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thanks for sharing that. I think hopefully, firstly, thanks for paving the way for so many of us, because it's only when there are women in the leadership that they somehow will pull up other women in leadership. So all starts from you. And then again, doing the part of inspiring us through so many examples, lots to learn. And I think I have also made like a self promise to myself that if ever I'm in a position where I can bring up women with me, I'll make sure to do that. Whatever small or big capacity that I can do it. I think it's also a way of just paying forward. So thanks for inspiring me there. Of course, I have a lot of questions, but I see that there are so many other questions that have come in. So we'll not wait. Guys, you've been asking, so many questions are around inspiration. People want to know your inspiration. People are inspired by you. So that I think is going to be a keyword, but I'm just going to pick those questions up. And guys, while I pick up the questions that people have shared before, just please do feel free to ask your questions now. We'll try and take as many as we can. Of course, Vinita has limited time, so we'll just try and make sure that you are, your questions are answered to the best. All right. So, first question is, how do you like to unwind and spend your weekends?
So weekends are very, so I work 6 days a week, so I just have Sunday as my weekend. Um, and weekends are very sacred to me because I just get one day. So a lot of it goes in spending time with family, catching up with something that I really want to read and I really want to watch. And I haven't gotten time through the week. I try and catch up on that. But more often than not, I love my work so much, or I'm very synonymous with my work. By the end of Sunday, I'm already, planning the next week. And not because I need to or have to. It's just because I think I really don't need a break from the life that I have created now. I love going to work. I love the people I work with. So on most days, of course, there are days where things go all haywire and there's problem solving to be done, but on most days I really love my craft. So even in my downtime, I try and learn more about what I'm very curious about, of self improvement and manifestation, which I even talk about in most of my podcasts or keynote speeches and stuff like that. And of course, spending time with family. My entire family is in Hyderabad, so it's very nice to like get together on weekends.
Sweet. Lovely. Mohammed is asking, what's one thing you're looking forward to achieving in the near future?
I think the next thing that I really want to do is expand the co-working spaces. So we launched in Feb. We are at 70% capacity, doing really well. And in the last month, I think we had to say, and so the way co-working spaces work is like we have private cabins and flexible desks, which is public seating. So all our cabins have been taken, and we in the last 1 month we had to say no to like more than like 10, 20 people because we're already like sold out. So which is a great problem to have because you know that you have your product market fit right and you can now expand and go to different locations.
Congratulations on that. And so many of us need co working spaces like this, which are very, very important enablers. As our teams grow, we're suddenly in a space where it's like, okay, one more chair in this tiny office, one more chair in this tiny office. So you just have the leverage of not really having to worry about another very important problem. Kennedy is asking, what keeps you most inspired?
um, the evolution of the world. So right now, like I'm very inspired by artificial intelligence, and it's not just like the ease of what it can do, but I'm very, very curious of how it is built and how it thinks. And so most of the times when I'm stuck, I even use it for like taking out my brain fog and clear thinking, or like my therapist or my best friend. So which wasn't like the case like before 2025. And I feel like the evolution of things is very synonymous to the person I am because even I have kept evolving industries, careers, passions as the world has evolved.
Lovely. How do you how do you look at the evolution of the world synonymous to your personal growth? Like, how do you get to know about the evolution of the world? What's your discovery there?
So I feel like the more you know about yourself, say if I have a skill, like say in 2024, I didn't know about cooking, and today, 2025, I've learned a new skill, cooking. So I can take out a business which is around cooking. And the world is like that. The minute that they know there is something like artificial intelligence, there are numerous businesses around it, and even the traditional business work on this new technology. So the way it's synonymous to me is I am like that. I am a opportunist. Like I will see what is working, what is new in me too. Like what are my thoughts and habits that's not working for me. So I will shed those and I will incorporate the new ones very quickly. So that's how I feel it's synonymous.
Fantastic. And since you mentioned artificial intelligence, is that something that you've thought about tapping into at some point in time? Does it really interest you, even from a business standpoint, educating yourself standpoint, perhaps?
100%. We're looking at a lot of companies to invest in with the AI technology. In fact, like going forward, I think in the next year, 2026, I don't think we will look at any business that has not integrated AI already. Because however traditional your business is, like it needs to keep up with the future technologies. Otherwise, the business is going to be obsolete. And also, you as a person, like if I don't upgrade my skill, I'm not going to be relevant to the Gen Y, Gen Zs. And if you're in the business of staying relevant, then you want to be. And if I go to, uh, you know, uh, event or a conference, if I'm speaking in front of them, I want to be relevant to them. So I think there is no escaping AI. It's just how fast you adapt to it.
And it's so powerful. I mean, I think the power I have felt is when I started using AI for the simplest and the most complex things. So, for example, for us, we developed a sizing chart, and for that, we use data right from tailors that they write in their alteration slips to data from international brands to Indian brands to even petite brands internationally, because in India we didn't have any. To fit trials that we run. Now you have so many forms of data. Some are pictures, some are Excel sheets, some are documents. How do you assemble all of that? And it's very difficult. Thousands and thousands of women's of data and multiple measurements. So AI was so useful, and then we use that data to sort of say, okay, now I have these data points. What if I put it on a woman and I create a model? Is AI able to do that for me? Now, if I do different skin tones and I say, let's say, create a waistcoat, I want to see how a yellow colored waistcoat looks on different Indian skin tones. So it's just so fast and so efficient that even for us as businesses, the cost of design iteration and the time, which is like a very, very important factor. It's, time is money for startups.
Yeah.
It just makes things so effective. So yeah, I think any business that sort of is able to leverage it, it just pushes us forward so many steps.
Yeah, and if you don't, your competition will. So you better do it before them.
Absolutely. Okay, one last question that we're going to take. How to discipline in work to achieve great results?
I think by neutrality, I feel like when people have mastered neutrality, which I mean like you've had the biggest sale order in the history of the company, um, celebrate for a minute and like go back to doubling down on what's working, go back to your craft. Somebody has cheated you, or you've had a loss, or you've had a personal health scare or something like that. You're in the low, like come back to work, and put in all the emotions in work and channel it in that way. So when you have mastered neutrality with work, and eventually you master neutrality with life, when you can be in that neutral space, regardless of the highs and lows, the pleasure and pain, the temptations and the aversions, I think that's when you're definitely going to be a very successful person in all areas of your life. And success can be defined differently for different people. For some people, it's a $1 million mark, or it's something, a monetary mark, or for some people, it's an emotion, freedom or happiness. But whatever your success goal is, when you've mastered neutrality, I think it's very easy to be successful.
So hopefully that answers your question. Thank you for asking those questions and so many of those coming through. But we just have limited time with Vinita, so may I please request that we'll try and take those questions at a later point in time, try and get back to all of you. Now, Vinita, just as a summary of what we've discussed. Again, so many youngers that are listening to this. If you could share one advice through the pages in your book with them, or even entrepreneurs who are looking to start, women entrepreneurs especially who are looking to start, what would that advice be?
Um, that Be humble in your wins and brave in your losses. But every single day, show up for your craft, show up for yourself, dress up and show up, because it makes a huge difference. And every single day, play like a champion. It doesn't matter. The result is not in your hands, but the efforts definitely are. So just show up every day.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. It's the hardest thing to do on some days. So I know what I think you are advising us, and I take that to heart. Again, thank you so much, Vinita, for taking the time. This means so much to us. I think at RareReach, what we're really trying to do is bringing about, inspiring women like yourselves and saying that how we look, how tall we are, doesn't matter. It's what we've done, what we've achieved, what we're looking to do in the future, how open we are about our failures, and that's really what defines us. How many times we failed, it'll go on and the count will increase, but it's all about just rising up from those down points and achieving something. So thank you for sharing so many beautiful experiences from your journey. It really means so much to us. And I hope that through your example, many young women get the courage to start and continue on their path of entrepreneurship. Many young women feel a little bit better about their bodies, a little more confident when somebody perhaps bullies them or somebody makes a comment. And even for me, as somebody who's just finding my feet in a new industry that I know nothing about, I will remember some of the examples that you've shared. I will remember about holding on to my queendom. So thank you for sharing that with me. It really does mean a lot, and I've really learned a lot today.
That's amazing. And it's really nice and very encouraging to hear that. Thank you guys for joining in and supporting women. And so it was such a pleasure to be associated with a brand that is, it's a brand with a purpose. It's just not the product, but also purpose. And kudos to you too.
Thank you. Thank you. I hope we can continue on that. And thanks again. I hope you have a lovely evening, Vinita. Thanks to everyone who joined and cheered on for Vinita and for us. Thank you. Good evening. Bye bye.